What's up, guys? This is JZNES back with another game review. Today we got Catherine full body here. We got the special edition. We got the regular edition from back in the day. We've got my old copy, and then the steelbook edition there. So yeah, Catherine full body. It's a great game that I played back in the day. Not full body, but I played the PS3 game back in the day. And I really loved it back then. And it was just kind of a weird game back then. I hadn't even played Persona yet, so I didn't really know I didn't know a lot of Atlas or like what they had done or anything. So kind of just on a whim, I think I saw the Classic Game Room review back when he was still making videos on YouTube. This would have been like 2009 or whatever when the game came out. I saw a review for it. It was summer at the time, I remember. And it was one of these games where I got really interested in it. I'm like, well, this looks pretty good. What the fuck? I'll go spend, some amount of money on it. It was like $60 or something. I remember we went and bought it at Best Buy. I don't know why we bought it there, but that's where I bought Catherine, was at Best Buy. I'm pretty sure it would have been that copy there that I would have bought at Best Buy. And then there's a copy in here that I bought later on because I liked the game, so I bought the cool special edition. That was like what the notable thing about the game when it came out was the special edition, which is really cool because it's like, it's like pretty cool special edition box there. And depending on your version, you either have, if you get the 360 version, like, which I don't know that many people who did, but you would either have the PS3, it would be Catherine, and then the the Xbox one would be Catherine, who's your longtime girlfriend. This is the girl who's gets introduced in the game, and then she's just kind of all over you, and it's the girl you're cheating with or whatever. So, yeah, as you can see there, it comes with like a shirt and the boxers from the game, and like a pillowcase, the pizza box, and a few other things, like an art book and stuff in the game, obviously. So, I don't want to show it all off, but I'll just kind of show briefly because it's pretty cool. It's a pizza box for the stray sheep, which is the bar that he hangs out in the game. And there's all the stuff minus the game. I think I gave the game to one of my friends who wanted to play it or something. I don't remember if I gave it to Jameson or if I gave it to like Mab or somebody, or just somebody who I wanted to get interested in the game at some point. I don't remember who I gave it to, honestly, but yeah. So I got the pizza box version of Catherine. I got this like on eBay like a number of years ago, probably like 2000, I don't know, like 12 or 13 or whatever. I kind of had my resurgence of collecting video games. This is this is a purchase I made because I always just thought it was really cool. Maybe I got it before then too. I don't honestly remember, but yeah, I loved the game. It was really good back then, especially. So I bought the big box, and then so of course, when Atlas came out with the remake full body, I had to get the collector edition of that too, and it's got all three of them. They're not being picky this time, like they don't give version exclusives or whatever. Which is, I mean, I like that concept. It's just really odd that, like, whenever I see the Catherine version of the Xbox on the Xbox version, I'm just like, man, this is so weird looking. So you got, Catherine, you got Catherine, you got Rin there, just the sheep and stuff on the side there. Yeah, and this one comes with the steel book, and then like plushie of the sheep, the soundtrack. I think the other one came with the soundtrack too, or like a little bit of it, and the art book. So that's pretty cool. It's not a pizza box this time though, so I mean that's a little different. It's like part of the puzzle thing. Let's just like kind of briefly look in there. Yeah, so that's what the inside looks like. You get the sheep and the art book and stuff. And the soundtrack, which is pretty cool. Let's pull that out. I haven't even opened it yet, but yeah, we got Rin and Catherine over here, and then Catherine here. That's pretty cool. What even tracks does it come with? Huh. Okay. Yeah. A lot of decent tracks from the game there. It's got a pretty good soundtrack overall. I would say it's more like remixes of like classical music and stuff, whereas Persona is like more of its own kind of unique unique music, you know, for the game. So, but it does feel like a Persona game in a lot of angles because the regular gameplay of the game is, I mean, they're both part of the regular gameplay, but um, the main part of like the gameplay aspect, like for Persona, it'd be like an RPG, you know, the RPG elements of that. Like that aspect of this game is like a puzzle game where you pull blocks and push blocks in order to climb a tower, basically. Um, and it can get pretty complex. I will warn that on this version of the game, the full body version, the easy mode is like way too easy because on this version of the game, the easy mode was hard. The normal mode was insane, and then the hard mode was like impossible. So I thought, you know, I even told one of my friends, "Oh, dude, just play it on easy because normal's insane." And then I ended up playing it twice. I ended up uh, the first run I did a Rin ending, and then I did the second run I did a sorry, not Catherine, Catherine ending, because every time I've played the game, I've always done the Catherine ending just because I find it the most satisfying ending, and I still find that to be true overall. I'll kind of go over that a little bit. I'll try to, I don't know if I'm gonna spoil things or what. I don't think so. So don't worry about that. But I'll try to be as spoiler free as possible. I might talk about a few things or imply a few things, but you know that's I have to do that. Um, so yeah, so on the PS3 version and the Xbox, the old version, the original version of the game, easy mode was actually pretty hard, and then it just got more insane and more insane for there. I don't even know if I ever finished normal mode. Um, During my Rin run on this game, I did easy, and it was way too easy for the gameplay of the block segments, and then the normal mode was more in line with the original game's easy mode. So I thought that was more manageable and more challenging, and that actually did something to challenge me to even just because the original mode is like that nothing stands in your way as long as you kind of get the the most basic sense of what is going on in the block pushing gameplay. It's like you're gonna win, and so it was just kind of really boring in that sense of like the gameplay. I mean, it was still fun enough, but I definitely noticed the difference of like when I got to the normal mode and I was playing that and I'm like, okay, this feels more like the original gameplay and the original mode. They even have a remix mode in this game. I don't know. I don't believe they had that in the original game as an unlockable or something, but basically there's like bigger blocks and stuff. I don't really know how that works, but that's a thing. So maybe next time I play the game to get the well, I mean, is it a spoiler? It's not really a spoiler. It's one of the endings of the game is where you just kind of say fuck everyone, and you know you don't really make a choice on girl. You just say fuck them all, and then you go to space. So that's an ending. I don't think that's a very spoilery thing to say because like I don't think most people even know that that ending exists. That's like the freedom ending or whatever. That's why while you'll notice while you're in the game, there's space posters everywhere, and people say stuff about this like $50,000 used to be $80,000 space trip or whatever, and it's like Vincent's dream to go and do this. I'm like, oh okay, someday I'll get that ending just because it'll be fun. But I finally did get the Seathern ending this time around because I just never had done that one. Um, I guess I'll talk about the endings quick. My first, well, I'll talk about the other one second since the Seathern ending was actually in the original. So, her ending, when I refer to Seathern, that's this girl, and your Katherine's your like silver haired, actual girlfriend. So the Seathern ending basically was a little bit underwhelming because throughout the game is mostly set up to either go for the Rin ending or the Catherine ending. It's Catherine ending. So what you're basically doing, so what you're, you know, it's like the whole time he's kind of just pussyfooting around, and then even right up until the end, he's like, um, trying to go for Catherine. No matter what you do, I put the meter there's a meter in the game where the blue side is you're gonna go for K-Ather, the red side I thought is you're going for Seather, and that ended up working out for me. But near the end of the game, I read this thing on like one of the walkthroughs or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, try to have the meter as neutral as possible, like in the middle, and I'm like, what? Then how are you gonna get the Seather ending? But it ended up not mattering. It just kind of matters what you answer on like the ninth day for questions. There's questions that this like other guy will ask you when you're in this like little confessional booth in between the segments of the puzzle section of the game. So so yeah, when you're having the nightmares, which is the puzzle section of the game, you go through like three or four usually per night sections of these block puzzles where you're trying to get to the top, and in between each of them, you'll see these other sheep who are actually humans in the real world, and you meet a lot of them in the real world at the bar, which I'll talk about in a minute here. But you see them on this landing, and you can talk to them and like interact, and depending on what you say to them and stuff, like they might survive or they might not. So that's another cool aspect of the game. Is at the very end, um, kind of right before the final thing, it's like you can see all the people that you saved, and they'll like thank you and like talk about how they're gonna improve their lives and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like the Persona 4 like social link ending where like the social links at the end where you kind of you get a sense of satisfaction with that or whatnot. So um, but yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is it's really nice that they incorporated that in there where the characters kind of in between both worlds, and you kind of at the end you kind of figure out like because he can't remember what happens in the dreams every night, so he's like he kind of figures out who each of them are, and then he realizes that he's been helping them along this whole time or whatever. So you can either get them to live or you don't get them to live. That's just like one little aspect of the game, like um, so, but it's cool because there's a lot of detail in doing that. If you make certain actions, certain people live and whatnot. So that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that's in between. So my point is, there's little landings in between each of the levels, and then there's like a little confessional thing. You go in there. The person will ask you a question, and based on these questions, that meter will go one way or the other. And based on certain actions you do in the bar and stuff, which I'll talk about in a little bit, the meter will go one way or the other. And the red end is going to get you for Theathrin, and the blue end is going to get you for Kathrin, your current girlfriend. And then, but there's an ending. Is this why I'm talking about this? I don't remember. There's an ending where I think if you're totally neutral in the middle on the bar, and then you answer the questions the right way or something, that you'll get to just go to space, which is awesome because that's Vince's whole dream the whole time. The main character, who's not on any of the boxes as far as I can tell, honestly. Oh, he's on this box, I guess. That's Vincent. That's our main character there. He kind of there was a running joke that the protagonist of Persona 5 kind of looks like Vincent. It might be his son or something, but it's not, so they're not related. But yeah, it's kind of just like the most wacky sort of anime kind of game in like in the cutscenes and stuff. It's just like all the wrong things are happening to this guy, and he's cheating, and he didn't even mean to cheat, and it's like all this stuff, and it's like it's crazy. It just gets ridiculous. So, but yeah, I mean the puzzle gameplay stuff, as long as you play it on like normal or something, it's actually pretty decent. I was talking about the ending, the Catherine ending. So I found it a little underwhelming, just kind of because the Catherine ending is so well integrated into the actual story. The Catherine ending is just kind of like a really obscure, like you have to answer like the most ridiculous ways to all of the questions and stuff that they'll ask you at any given point and stuff, and it's just like you have to answer all the stupidest stuff to even get there. But it's just like I had a guy, and it's funny. I just ran into this guy the other day at my locals for Yu-Gi-Oh because they were having that, I guess, because everyone jumped ship to a different place. So that's a story for the other channel, really. But I ran into this guy the other day, and I remember I went to college with him. We had this environmental science class where I was in his group. It was me, him, and this other guy who I haven't seen in a while. He was pretty cool too, but Yeah, so this guy like sat there. We used to have to take trips out to like this is like a half hour away, so it's like we'd have these long rambling conversations about stuff, and then like one time for some reason we got on the topic of Catherine, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I love that game. I always go for the Catherine ending because that's clearly the best choice." And I'm just like, "What are you talking about? Like nothing in the game drives you to want to make these things." And he was just gave some lazy ass excuse about it. And he's just like, "Oh, it's clearly the best ending," and I'm just like, what are you talking about? I don't think he was trolling either. I don't know what he saw in like that ending. I thought it was fine. It was pretty good. It's just the fact is like this was this guy's favorite ending, and he did this every time, just like I did the Catherine ending every time. Now, why is the Catherine ending, without spoilers, very good? Because they integrate throughout the whole game that Vincent is trying to rectify his mistakes of cheating and getting back with Catherine, and he's fighting for her the whole time mainly. And then it's just like up until the last second, other than if you choose the Rin stuff, which is kind of midway through, you'll get some choices to go for her. But the Catherine stuff is just more what the story is meant to be. It's kind of the canon ending, so it's just like that's really what they set up for, and the whole story. I mean, you don't get. I mean, you just meet these people in this game, but you don't get Catherine flashbacks. You don't get Rin flashbacks because you don't know those people. Before this game, you get Catherine flashbacks, which are new, I think, for this game. I'm pretty sure that this version didn't have it. I believe that I saw them somewhere before the game came out or something. Otherwise, I'm like deja vuing the fuck out of this, and I like made these scenarios up in my head. And even the Rin ending, I kind of remember a little bit of. I think I probably looked that up before the game came, or before I got the game, or did they put the ending out for? I don't remember. It just seemed kind of familiar for some reason. Maybe I imagined it or something, um, but yeah, the Catherine ending is great because it's kind of who Vincent's meant to end up with and stuff, without spoiling too much. So that's pretty much the best ending, I would say, out of all of them. And then the Rin ending, even though the end. Okay, let me clarify. The Rin storyline is great, but the ending is just completely bizarre, and yeah, it just didn't need to go the extra step. And you'll know what I mean if you've played the game, because they just went a little too far on that one. It was like they did it for shock value or something. Like, oh, like we're gonna add this one extra thing on top of like the explanation of like her whole storyline. We're just gonna add one more thing on there to like make it even more bizarre. And it's just like, why did we do this? Why was this necessary? It wasn't necessary. That's the thing. It wasn't necessary at all. But but her storyline is actually really good, and I love that. So I thought that was probably the best, most fleshed out storyline of any of the three girls, because you they because it's not Persona syndrome, where here's the thing about Atlas is like every time if there's a relationship in one of their games, they're never going to really hint towards the fact that they're going to give you a few throw you a bone dialogues here and there. And I noticed during the Catherine stuff that when I had when I had the meter all the way to the red, they actually did throw me a few lines about how Vincent was uh, conflicted, but he was not feeling as bad because he was kind of trying to be with Catherine as well, or something to that effect. There was more dialogue on top of the regular Catherine stuff, indicating that Vincent kind of felt this a different way. And I would know because I just kind of played through the game twice in a row, one being the Rin ending and one being the Catherine ending. And I was kind of glad because there's a cutscene kind of midway through where Vincent is dreaming about a thing, and people will know if they've played the game what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about the nightmares. I'm talking about where he's dreaming a certain thing. And when I was going for the Rin ending, it actually ended up being something completely different because Rin was actually in it as a part of it. And I thought, oh man, they took out the original scene for this new scene because Rin is a new part of the game. But no, lo and behold, if you go for like a regular one of the two other Catherines, um, the original Catherines, then you actually do get to see the original scene, and that was kind of going to be a mark against the game for me. Is like not a huge thing, but just like a little nitpick is that they kind of remove some scenes or whatever. But no, from what I can understand, what I'm kind of from what I played of the game, I think everything is still intact. They just added a lot more stuff, so it's like a remake in the sense that it's more like a Persona 4 Golden. It's not really a remake. I mean, Persona 4 Golden did do a bit of a remaking in the gameplay and stuff. So I mean that maybe isn't the best example, but it's more on that line where everything's there, but they kind of added the most important stuff, and they added a whole new storyline. Apparently, there's Persona 5 like DLC stuff, which I haven't done. So, but apparently there's that. So I don't know. It was in the art book too, so it's not really a spoiler. But I literally don't know anything about it other than the fact that it exists. So but yeah, I mean the storylines. It all just kind of varies because the story is set up to where Vincent is just gonna kind of flop around and feel bad and then kind of be mad that he's cheating on his girlfriend, which is fine. I mean, that's the whole core of the story, but you would think if you were kind of leaning one way or the other that they'd give you more, and maybe he wouldn't be turning away like Seatherin's advances you know, um, if you're all the way over on the bar, even if Vincent thinks it's wrong. I mean, he should show more obvious um, attraction and stuff for her, especially for the way the ending goes. Uh, Rin got that, but of course Rin had all of her storyline added to the game, and sometimes it kind of feels a little bit blatant, like, oh look, here's our new character, like we were gonna shove her into this cutscene she wasn't in before, or we're gonna add a whole section to this cutscene where we talk about Rin, or we're gonna make a thing that was previously unrelated to Rin about Rin, and it's like, okay, that's fine, but I mean, and I didn't mind because she was actually a really cool character, but I just on the repeat playthrough, I just kind of skipped most of that because I didn't want to give Rin any ideas, and I didn't want to put in any points towards her because I was going for the Seatherin ending, so and to do that, you kind of have to not go for the other two. So, um, but it's just odd because anything you do with Rin, like you send her text messages and stuff, and I guess I'm talking about the bar segments now. Basically, is the tower gameplay where you're climbing, and that's just what it is. It's climbing, and they got some cool techniques and stuff in there, and the sheep will even teach you some cool techniques and stuff. And they even have like boss battles relating to like things Vincent's going through, so that's pretty cool. It's like there's okay, well yeah. I mean both Catherines are in there in some form, and then I was kind of surprised that they didn't throw like a Rin one in there somewhere near the end or something. So that's not a thing, but it makes sense because Rin's a lot less of a problem, I guess, in the game. Like she's the most like she's like the least problematic character in the whole thing because it's like Catherine and Seatherin are both mad for different reasons, but Rin, she's never mad. She's only, there's a few points where she's kind of hurt or upset or something, but she gets over it in like 5 seconds, and then Vincent and her, like, all good again. So it's just like, she's not kind of as angry or as aggressive as the other two, I would say. So I don't know. She feels definitely like the character that she's the typical like anime girl that's like the new waifu or whatever, and she's the shy one or the timid or the mild one or whatever, as opposed to these like raging um absurdist girls, the other two. But anyway, so I don't know, she feels in place but different. But anyway, so yeah, aside from the nightmare gameplay, in between that you'll see some cutscenes, a lot of cutscenes, about Vincent. He'll be at like a sushi bar, and like a lot of them take place in a bathroom and stuff, and like at his apartment you'll see a few cutscenes, but the bar is the main other place where the remainder of the gameplay works, which is just kind of like a fuller version of the little platforms in between the stages. It's your Persona 4, town or whatever, where you can go and talk to people and hang out with people. It's not quite as in depth. There's no like social links or anything. Um, it'd be kind of cool to see that, like if they did like a Catherine sequel. I always thought it'd be cool if they did a Catherine sequel where, since you played as a guy in this one, you would play as a girl next time, and either you could be the one cheating, or I mean, you really, or you could be the one getting cheated on. I think that'd be the better scenario of the two. Because, if you're the one cheating, there's nothing that you're really feeling bad about. I mean, you are, well, Vincent was the one cheating, kind of. I mean, he's not, but, you know, I mean, whatever, spoilers, I guess, for that. I didn't say anything, though, so no big deal. Um, so, yeah, I don't know how they would do that, but I think it'd be interesting to see Catherine with a female lead next time around, if they ever do that. I don't know if, I mean, they made a whole on remake where they added a whole thing to it, so it's like, you think they'd be maybe interested in doing some more Catherine stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But the bar stuff is pretty cool because it's like you get to go around and talk to people, but you're on a time limit kind of, because the more you talk to certain people, then the more time passes, and certain people leave and stuff, and if you don't talk to certain people, they're gonna die. So um, you gotta you gotta talk to who you want to live, and you gotta tell them the right things and stuff, and that's kind of how that goes. So yeah, so it's cool, and I like hearing all these little different stories. A lot of them seem very reminiscent of Persona 4, actually, where it's like there's like this cop guy who's like just like Dojima's story in Persona 4, which is pretty cool. And it actually resolves similarly to his. I don't remember if Dojima's story ever resolves, actually. I don't think it does. I don't think he ever, catches the person, but so yeah. But anyway, it's really similar to that. And then there's like a reporter guy who's feeling bad about a thing, and it just kind of lends more character arcs. And they added two new characters in here. As far as I remember, they weren't in the original game. There's like this Muslim guy who's like really, really rich or whatever, and he's kind of dealing with like the fact that everyone is just using him for his money, and then he kind of learns to give up most of that and just kind of goes on a journey around the world or whatever, which is cool. It's kind of his arc and his story. I guess it's not really a spoiler if I'm talking about their storylines, right? Like, they're not that essential to the overall plot. I mean, I won't go too in depth, but I just thought that was kind of cool. And then there's like the chef for the stray sheep who you never actually see there is there, and he has his own little dreams and stuff. And then if he survives, you kind of see him there, and he made you a bunch of stuff. And it's like, oh, that's cool. It's really neat and whatnot. And I thought it was cool how now that we have Rin, and well, God, I can't say that because then it's gonna spoil the thing. But whatever, not a big deal. So I thought it was cool how Rin. I'll just say it really lightly. How Rin and Erica's storylines kind of coincide, and how they resonate with each other and whatnot. And it kind of lifts up. I think his name's Toby, right? Isn't Toby the younger guy or whatever? The younger blonde guy, it lifts up his story a little bit more because it's a little bit more related to Vincent's story if you're doing the Rin ending, that is. So it kind of just feels like that works better if that all that's in there, if all this new stuff is in there. So it kind of Rin fleshes out the Rin stuff that they added, fleshes out a lot of the story in cool ways, so it makes it a little bit better. Whereas before, a lot of things were less related and whatnot. So, but yeah, the bar segments are pretty cool. You can kind of talk to a bunch of people. You get text messages in between from the Catherines, and so you can text them back. And if you're going for like a certain ending, you can kind of text them, like a more hurtful way or something. That was the hardest part of doing the Catherine ending, was texting Catherine, just like really derogatory shit and just like fucking, being a dick to her the whole time. It was really hard because as much as she's like that, really controlling, like motherly kind of figure, it's just like, that her heart's in the right place for Vincent and his in his future and whatnot, and she kind of wants what's best for him, and she cares, and they do a good job with the flashbacks, kind of illustrating more so what she was like before, and that she's still like that. She just has a lot of stress right now in this story, and then like also that Vincent's obviously cheating, so if she could if she kind of knows, and then she kind of figures, if she figures that out, that's a lot more stressful and stuff. So um yeah, basically, she has a more developed and more fleshed out character in this, which I liked a lot. um but it hurt a lot to send her the mean texts, and then send uh Seather and the other, um the nicer texts and whatnot. I mean, that didn't hurt so much, but hurting Catherine was just, I don't like doing that. So um basically, it's a lot of fun. It's a great game. I don't really know what all to say about it without spoiling it. It's just one of those kind of games you're gonna have to experience for yourself, and I recommend it. I mean, if you wait, I'm sure that the full body will be less. Like the original version right now is probably like $20 or something. It's probably less now that they have full body out, and you can get that on PS3 and Xbox 360. And I would say that that's still a fine way to experience the game, but full body is a great way to experience the game as well, because Rin is a great character, and I like that the arc that they added there, and it fleshes out the story a little bit more and stuff. Yeah, and she's kind of a good opposite, to Seathrin Rin is, in a certain way. And if you play the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, which I thought was pretty cool, because they kind of go a certain way with Seathrin, and then you kind of wonder about the other side of the coin on that, and it's like, well, is that a thing too? And then it's like, okay, well, they kind of touched on that here. Uh, they did it in a strange way though, because of the very end of the Rin ending, which is just bizarre. So anyway, I mean, I don't know. It's a great game. I would definitely. I'd probably put it in my top 30. I think I made a top 30 somewhere, a list anyway. It's a video I want to do at some point. It's just like my top 50 games of all time or something like that. Um, because it's just one of those games that kind of surprised me. And it's a game that I can recommend to a lot of people because, and then I could probably recommend Full Body even more to a lot of people because there's like an easier mode to it. I mean, the original game is kind of hard in a sense, uh, which I think was a good thing. I kind of wish there was a balance between an easy and the normal mode. Um, it's just maybe now because I'm a little bit older that the normal mode, and that was like fucking 10 years ago. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I'm a little older now. Uh, so, so yeah, now that I'm a little bit older, I guess the puzzles maybe aren't quite as hard, but I still felt it was pretty challenging on the normal mode. Not as hard as I remember it being, but maybe the normal mode on this one is kind of the perfect challenge and whatnot. And you get the remix modes, you get a bunch of other extra content. All the Rin stuff is great. So I mean, Full Body is definitely probably worth the investment. Um, at like maybe $40 or $30. I wouldn't put a ton of money into it because the game is only like 8 hours long or something. I definitely I to give you some perspective, I literally sat here yesterday, which was Sunday, and then part of today with sleep, with the generous amount of sleep, let's say, Sunday and today, just like playing it all the way through, and I made it through 2 run-throughs of the game within that time. On the second run-through, mind you, skipping some cutscenes and whatnot. And I actually started that last night. I just kind of didn't really finish it until... So it only took me a few hours today is my point, to finish it. So if you play the game and then you skip the cutscenes, other than the relevant cutscenes to the character that you're trying to like see if there's like any differences or whatever, which there are in some cutscenes. So if you played the game as many times as I have, which I played the game probably like 7 or 8 times now, overall, and 6 of those being the Catherine ending. So, and with my friends and stuff too, I guess that might count. I don't know, but so just my point is it's kind of a short game, so you don't want to spend like $60 on it. I mean, maybe you do. I just think it'd be a better investment at like $40 or $30. You're definitely going to get a lot of content out of it, though, if you're the kind of person who likes to go back and replay through the game, because there are 13 endings. There's let's see, there's 3 endings for each character, like a good, a normal, and a bad ending for each character. So Catherine, Catherine, and Rin. So that's 9 endings. 2 of them are the freedom endings, so that's 11. I don't know where the other 2 come from, but there's 13 endings. I know that much. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the other ones are. I was trying to think. I'm like, what would the other ones be? But yeah, so there's 13 endings, which is pretty cool. So if you're looking for some content, there's actually even like other content on top of like the story mode, which I've never done. There's like an arcade mode. Oh, I should talk about in the bar section, after you're like done talking to people and stuff, you can sit there and if you start drinking uh, each of these drinks, like the little sheep will come up and tell you like like trivia about drinks and alcoholic drinks and stuff. It's pretty funny. But also there's an arcade machine there's also jukebox, which helps you, like, there's a lot of Persona music and stuff on there, and then music from the game and stuff. But there's there's a video, there's like a arcade game version of Catherine called Rapunzel in the bar, which is just like a harder version. Not even just harder, it's a more specific version of the main puzzle gameplay, and you only have so many like credits on there. I did see after I beat the game that it said like free play unlocked on there, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's some rewards with that and stuff if like you get through. I know there's at least a trophy if you get through all 64 levels of that. So they even use that to make like more gameplay there, but there's also like an arcade mode outside of the storyline and outside of the bar where it's just like I haven't even played it, but it's like you can do it co-op too and just like go against each other, like climbing the tower and stuff, which is pretty cool. I don't really even know how that works, but it's seems like a cool addition. I know that it gets pretty hard. That's why I just kind of really have never tried it. So in between like the difficulties and all that, you get a lot of content here is my point. So that's pretty cool. It's a really great game. I would say definitely get it if you're interested in it. Um, just maybe at a cheaper price because it's like, like I said, it's pretty short. The music's cool. The characters and the storyline is really good. The gameplay is pretty fun. It's very challenging, so it could be a little bit frustrating. I know that I've had that experience, and I've heard everyone say that the gameplay is really frustrating, but I like sitting there and kind of banging my head against the wall until I kind of figure it out. There's like one level where the top of the level is like literally within sight of like the starting point, which usually doesn't happen. It's usually like a lot longer than that, and it's like it's just so tricky to even figure out how to do it. And they didn't even have it on, I don't believe, on the easy mode, so, which is crazy because this is like the one infamous level I kind of remember. It's really not that hard once you know how to do it, but like I had to look up a walkthrough for that one specific level. Other than that, though, I did it all myself, so pretty cool. Level 7-4, if you know what I mean, by that one. So it's a really short level, but it's like kind of a tricky level if you don't really know what you're doing because it's set up very weird and there's not a lot of room to maneuver and whatnot. So there's just a lot of unique things that they do with the gameplay. I think it's good. I think it's just something that you could play a lot and just have a lot of fun with. So I think the gameplay overall is good. I just think that the easy mode made it a little bit too mindless now, whereas before it was really, there's a lot of really like interesting and intriguing puzzle aspects to try to figure it out yourself, along with the techniques that they give you, of course. But just trying to bang your head against the wall, trying to figure out like how do I get through this specific level and stuff. And so I think that's cool. I think it was a really unique idea about the nightmares and stuff. I really love the atmosphere and the concept of like people who cheat go into these nightmares and all that. I think that's really cool. That's a really unique thing, and I just love stuff like that, like people going into dreams and nightmares and stuff. And I think that stuff's really cool. Um, so and I really love the characters in the story and like where they take it, especially near the end. Like I know a lot of people don't like the ending of this game. They think it's kind of obvious or something, but like I just love it how it kind of progresses and stuff, and like when you find out who's kind of behind all of it, it's great, and that whole part is it's just excellent, and the way they're trying to play it off, and it's just really good. But so I recommend it. I think yeah, like I said, I mean the gameplay is good. The graphical style, I haven't really talked about that yet, but it's very good. It's very anime, very Persona 5. If actually, I don't know if I think it's like maybe they did go with this, but the Persona 5 engine is like a really heavily modified, like on the Catherine engine or something like that, or they started with that or something to that effect. I don't want to be wrong about that, but let me know if you know. But it has something to do with the Catherine engine, so I always just thought that was kind of funny, that they used that, because I always thought like, man, this would be like really cool if they expanded this and made this like a lot bigger of a concept and all this stuff. But so yeah, I mean, I really love it. It's a funny game. It's a wacky game. It's it can be pretty emotional at times, so it has the right balance of all of that. But there's definitely funny scenes, and there's definitely like bizarre scenes and crazy scenes and just like horrific scenes and like really emotional stuff, and the relationships between the characters and stuff are really great, and it's really fleshed out. I think it's great overall. There's just like a few little things here and there that used to bug me. They don't really bug me anymore. I know that they bug a lot of other people though, like the gameplay and the ending and stuff. Like the gameplay, a lot of people think is way too hard and like kind of too challenging or whatever. But I mean, if you want, just play the easy mode. Then it's not very satisfying though. Is my point. Um, and then like the story I think is great. So I don't know. It's just up to preference. But overall, I mean, I think it's a really good game. I'd probably give it like probably like a 9.2 or something like that out of 10. It's definitely within the 9 category range because it's definitely one of my favorite, uh, like top 50 favorite. Like it's so hard because there's so many good games out there. For a while, I think I had it like in my top 10 or something. I don't know if that was very long though, but top 20 or something. I think I definitely had it on for a while, but I don't know. Like within my top 30 or something, games of all time. So it's just it was one of those games I took a chance on back in the day, and then it ended up really paying off for me. So it's just a really unique game, and I just love it for that. So yeah, I mean, I recommend it. Go out and get it. Catherine full body. Probably get full body because then you get the written stuff and you get all the extra stuff, which is really cool and well done. One of my, I think so. I don't know if I said that. I think that Rin probably has like the best of the storylines outside of maybe Catherine, but I just like Rin's storyline maybe the most, or it's between her and Catherine. I mean, Catherine's cool and all, but I just never understood what that guy was saying. That was his like favorite one to go for was Catherine. I mean, I like her too, but you know, well enough. But man, that's just not the way to go. I don't know. It's up to preference, I suppose. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's cool. Oh, another little thing is the voice actors are all like the typical Persona voice actors. So it's like you got Troy Baker playing your main character. You got Laura Bailey who play. So Troy Baker is, he's been in a lot of things, but most notably as Atlas wise, he was Kanji in Persona, and you could definitely hear that in his voice. And um, there's actually a lot of parallels with his character in here in the newer games, so that's pretty cool. And then Laura Bailey, who's always, it's funny because, so, oh god, I don't want to talk about it, but in Final Fantasy 13, it was Troy Baker was one of the characters, and then Laura Bailey was another one of the characters who they were in love in that game. So they're, she's Catherine in this game, and she, so there's that, and then she always kind of plays the same. I mean, she wasn't really, I don't know. I don't remember if she was that character in Final Fantasy 13. I don't think there was very much character in that game anyway. But let's not get on a rant about that. I could rant about that some other time. But, Rise was kind of the, like, look at me, notice me, I'm sexy character in that game. And then, Catherine and Catherine in this game is the same way and that kind of thing. So, obviously, Catherine was probably more inspired by Rise because that game came out first. But, and then I'm pretty sure, so the guy in the confessional booth thing, which I won't reveal who that is because that's part of the game. His voice is definitely Teddy's voice. I'm not sure if Toby's voice is Teddy's voice, but he seems like a very similar character to Teddy, so I kind of think that might be accurate. And then Erica's voice is Chie's voice, except not annoying. It's the funniest thing because it's Chie's voice, but it's more like the Chie from the PS2 version, where she's more down to earth and not like flipping out about every little thing. So it's like she gives this performance for that, and then like when she gets to Persona 4, she's just freaking out and being the worst character of the main people in Persona 4. Because yeah, her voice just bothers me in Golden so much. But in the original Persona 4, her voice was down to earth and it was just really sweet and nice. And Erica kind of has that going for her. But I'm pretty sure it's the same actress as Chie. And then there's a few others. I don't think Naoto was in there, but that would have been pretty cool. I really love Naoto. She's great. But let's see what else. I don't know, just a bunch of the characters from Persona voice characters in this, and I thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, so there's a lot of connections there. It's just really cool. It's a great game. I would get it, play it. I don't know what else to say about it because it's awesome and I love it and it's a great game. So, anyways, until next time, this has been JZNES saying keep it classic and stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you in the next one. JZ out.